My girlfriend stole my manuscript for her first love and accused me of plagiarism. Overnight, I became the most despised plagiarist online. They wanted all my manuscripts so badly. They stabbed me to death in my apartment and dumped my body in the wilderness. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day I was accused of plagiarism. I quickly grabbed my stuff and left. Without my manuscript, they started to panic. Plagiarist, get out of the design industry. You're such a disgrace to designers. Reading the hateful comments online, I couldn't help but smirk bitterly. My girlfriend, Nancy, stole my design and framed me, claiming I plagiarized for her first love, Joshua. I got kicked out of the company, and Nancy used it as an excuse to break up. Lying on the bed, I fell asleep thinking of all the information I gathered. In the middle of the night, I was suffocated and opened my eyes to see Nancy's face. Before I could react, Joshua stabbed me multiple times. Blame yourself for being unlucky. Don't blame us for being ruthless. If you handed over the manuscript earlier, this wouldn't have happened. As long as you're dead, no one can accuse me of plagiarism. All I saw were their smug faces. As the air became thinner, I unwillingly closed my eyes. Oliver, for this project, you plagiarized someone's work. How could you? Plagiarists don't belong in this company. Leave now. Nancy's voice rang in my ears, but my heart was full of excitement. I was reborn on the day Nancy and Joshua framed me as a plagiarist. Seeing my things scattered, thanks to Joshua, I suppressed my hatred and carefully collected my designs. Despite all the commotion, the design director on this floor made no moves, seemingly approving. Unlike last time, I didn't bother defending myself. I just picked up my box and walked out. Sooner or later, they will beg for me to come back. Outside the company, Nancy blocked my way. Seeing her smug expression, I looked at her with disdain. Before she could say anything, I said, "Let's break up. I don't date thieves. You're the thief." Saying this, I left, leaving Nancy stomping furiously outside the company. As soon as I got home, I threw my stuff down and went to sleep. In the past, online bullying kept me from sleeping peacefully. I didn't even have time to present the evidence in my hand before Joshua killed me. After my death, I watched Joshua win the designer contest using the designs he stole from my place. He successfully pursued an international career with my works. Joshua's victory speech from the contest haunted me. I'm thrilled for this opportunity from the judges. Thanks to my supportive fans, I'll ensure strict self-discipline and prevent any plagiarism. Please keep an eye on me. Nobody found my body after my death, so netizens thought I ran away out of guilt. Even after the designer contest, I was still harassed online, causing my parents to go gray with worry. I woke up from my dream, Joshua's face clear in my mind, rubbed my cheeks, and quickly pulled myself together. Sitting in front of my computer, I took a deep breath. This time, at the designer contest Joshua cares about most, I'll make sure to hit him where it hurts. I opened the contest registration page and skillfully filled in my details. After registering, I burned all my manuscripts. Their contents had been etched deeply in my mind due to past online harassment, and I even formed new ideas. The next day, I had oldly bring my car downstairs and hired 2 bodyguards to stay at my place. I was heading out of town to buy some fabrics I had my eye on but never purchased due to the project. Before leaving, I kicked all of Nancy's stuff I packed overnight to the side of the door. Last time, Nancy living in my place made it easy for her to steal my designs. I tried proving my innocence, but she always managed to claim I copied. Even the designs I created, she claimed were traced. Letting the 2 waiting outside into the house, I went downstairs to find the driver who had been waiting a while. Taking the keys from him, I drove off. Near the next city, Nancy called me. "Are you home? I want to get my stuff." "Oh, you still care about those small things, huh? Have your brother buy them for you." I couldn't help joking. "Oliver, you're nobody without the company. Joshua is the son of our design director, after all. I'm not home. Your stuff is by the door. Come get it." I had no patience for Nancy's speech, replied coldly, and hung up. Throughout the drive, I thought about Nancy's words. No wonder I was kicked out without a reaction from the design director. Joshua's family connection explained it all. This was getting interesting. By evening, I received a call from my bodyguard. "Boss, we caught 2 burglars at your house. Just throw them out." After settling everything, I checked the house's surveillance. Seeing the sneaking duo on screen, Nancy and Joshua, made me chuckle. Nancy keyed in the password skillfully. As soon as they entered, the bodyguards pushed them to the floor. When Joshua struggled, a fist was sent straight to his face. I smiled in satisfaction. After buying the materials, I played in the neighboring city for a week before heading back. The moment I reached my doorstep, I saw the design director and his assistant waiting. I tried entering with my password but got blocked. The design director smiled at me. "Oliver, the project design you haven't submitted yet." I looked at him coldly. "Sorry, at Joshua's request. I've already left the company. There's no design for you." The director tried negotiating at the door for some time. Seeing I wasn't budging, his demeanor turned cold. "Oliver, you better hand over the design, or else I'll end your career in this industry." Leaving without finishing the project? That's so unprofessional. I raised an eyebrow. "Really? Can't handle it? Huh? Plagiarism? I'm already labeled a copycat, so why worry about ethics now? You as in people mess with me all you want. Oh, and there's a security camera at my door." With that said, I shut the door. They were left outside, and all they could do was leave in embarrassment. I told my bodyguard to pack up all my stuff. "I'm moving back to the villa. This place isn't safe." I bought this small 2-bedroom apartment for the sake of Nancy's supposed pride, pretending it was a rental. "Oliver, if we work hard together, we can really settle down in this city." I laughed at the thought of Nancy's self-righteous determination. I initially planned to tell Nancy who I really am after the design competition. But sadly, she ruined what I felt for her with her own hands. Thinking about how Nancy flattered and fawned over Joshua grosses me out. Before I even got home, my phone rang. "What's up, Mom? What's going on with the subsidiary? Why are they saying you plagiarized?" I checked the company's official Twitter. Oliver has been accused of plagiarizing designs from fellow designer Joshua. He's been terminated and his brand has been taken down. I tried to reassure her. "It's nothing, Mom. Just small stuff. I can handle it. I'm craving your braised ribs. You got it, son." After the call, my eyes darkened. So this is what they mean by quitting. Pathetic tactics. A colleague who I get along with told me that my leaving completely messed up the project. The boss blew up at the design director. I began to face ridiculous online backlash. Joshua would frequently post selfies and his designs on social media. He's got a bunch of admirers who swoon over his looks, claiming he's the handsome designer. They'd comment, "Looks and talent? What could God have possibly held back from him?" On the other hand, I never shared photos or participated in events outside work. People online just assumed I'm an ugly old guy. My dad wanted the PR team to handle the situation, but I stopped him in time. "Dad, give me some time. I'll deal with it myself. You and Mom shouldn't worry." I called the company's CEO. It rang for a while before he picked up. "What do you think about Joshua and the design director accusing me of plagiarism?" "What do I think? Oliver, confess, and most folks online might still forgive you. Otherwise, how do you plan to stay in this industry? You think you're some rich heir?" I laughed at that, not bothering to explain, and hung up. True, I've studied abroad for years. Hardly anyone knows what the rightful heir looks like. And for them to not realize that many of the major contracts the company secured were thanks to my ties. The next day, Nancy and Joshua came looking for me, but I had already moved out. They got nothing. Nancy called. I answered, feigning nonchalance. "Oliver, so how does it feel to get roasted online?" "You deserve it." I didn't need to see her face to guess her expression. I spoke coldly, "If someone deserves it or not, see you both at the design competition." Then I hung up. In my past life, I thought Nancy stuck with Joshua because he was wealthy. After I died, I found out their relationship was more than just friends. Joshua was Nancy's first love. They were forced apart over something trivial. When they met again, he'd become a renowned designer. Nancy quickly chose her first love. The competition was overseas. On the day of departure, I got a call from the police. Needed my cooperation on a theft case. Seeing Nancy at the station, I understood their ploy. They were stalling me. The officer had a photo. Oliver, Nancy says her necklace is missing. It was at your place, but she didn't see it when collecting her things. I looked at the photo, hiding my disappointment. It was the necklace I bought for Nancy with the first money I ever earned. I presented footage showing Nancy took the jewelry box first, and she even peeked inside. Nancy, it wasn't lost at my place. Please look for it at your home. Seeing her goals reached, Nancy quickly apologized to the police. Outside, Nancy caught up with me. Oliver, you can't beat Joshua. Just give up. I looked at Nancy, putting away my irritation. If minor tricks are all they've got, it's just plain boring. All flights overseas were fully booked. I called my driver, telling him to prep the family jet for the competition. I made it in time, arriving 30 minutes before the event started. Competitions were live-streamed entirely. The first day introduced the designers and the tournament rules. I didn't run into Joshua backstage, but once on stage, his nerves were obvious when he saw me. I calmly introduced myself. Once everyone had spoken, the judges announced this round's theme, meaning. I was thrilled. The fabric I bought recently was perfect for this design. Back home, my participation in the competition led to heated online debates. Some were adamant I plagiarized, while others rooted for my looks, arguing I couldn't have. A particular comment caught my attention. Is it possible that Oliver the designer and the heir are from the same family? I had to admire their perceptiveness. They guessed it. We had 2 days to prepare for the preliminary. I finished the competition piece and used leftover fabric to make clothes for a new brand. Since my old brand got shut down, I figured I'd design a new one. On the day of the prelims, my designs were already on the fit model backstage. After the staff verified all the details with me, I returned to the dressing room only to find my clothes shredded. I didn't bother cleaning up the pile of scraps. I just sat there waiting for the contest to start. The competition kicked off soon enough, and I was going on after Joshua. When I didn't show up right away, he joked to the live camera, wondering if I chickened out. I just chuckled, no way. I was just busy giving my outfit a little makeover. Someone had cut my clothes into a bunch of scraps. Laughing, I showed the judges and camera what I had done with it. After Joshua went on, I pulled out a backup piece from my box and started sewing the scraps together, turning them into a dress. I explained the idea and meaning behind the design to everyone. As I waited for the judges to score us, I looked at the clothes Joshua had designed and got lost in thought. This was a design I created for our company's New Year collection, and I didn't expect Nancy to sneak it over to Joshua. Walking over to Joshua's clothes, I asked with a smile, Joshua, they're calling you a design genius back home. Mind if I check out your outfit? He looked at me cautiously and said, of course. I flipped through the clothes and saw what I was looking for near the sleeves. Satisfied, I put it back. After the scoring, they quickly announced the results. Joshua, myself, and a bunch of other designers made it to the semifinals. After everyone else left, I collected the hidden camera I had placed on the dressing mannequin. Back at the hotel, I watched the footage. Joshua, looking kind of furious, was speaking to my clothes, muttering to himself, Oliver, who the heck do you think you are to join the designer competition? The championship is mine, no matter what. My phone rang with a familiar tune. Answering it, my friend said, Oliver, how's your trip to the US competition going? Want to grab a drink? Nah, you gotta help me out with something tomorrow, I replied. Next day at the semifinals, I spotted Nancy, who tried to taunt me. You shouldn't go up against Joshua. There's no beating him. We had dinner with the judges last night. I ignored her, quietly turning off a recording I'd started the moment I saw her. Before the competition started, Joshua walked over with the model assigned to me by the sponsors and smirked, Sorry, Oliver, your model doesn't want to work with a plagiarist. I glanced at Joshua smugly, who said I'm using the model provided by them. This round's theme was lifestyle and the models had to showcase the clothes. Participants could use the provided models or bring their own. Joshua must have talked my model into switching sides. I was up third. Bro, seems like you're taking it lying down, letting him push you around, my friend said backstage. I playfully smacked the back of his head. This is strategy, buddy. Learn the game. I took the stage with my model, who perfectly showcased my design's beauty. I scored the highest except for Judge Joey, who strangely gave me the lowest score. Joshua once again landed a spot in the finals using my design sketches. Back home, my semifinal look and model were trending big time. People were asking how I landed Henry as my model. Turns out, he's the CEO of an entertainment company. Not just anyone could hire him. The day of the finals, as I was heading to the event, a car suddenly crashed into me. Thanks to the bodyguards around me, I only ended up with a sprained ankle. Making it to the venue, I noticed Joshua had his right hand wrapped in bandages with some blood seeping through them. I immediately wrapped my own hand in bandages too. The finals required on-the-spot clothing creation. Before the contest, I prepared all the evidence, including footage of Joshua intentionally injuring his hand. Despite his injury, Joshua's determination won him praise from the judges. During the closing statements, Joshua addressed them with fervor. "I'm sorry I couldn't finish strong," he said. "As you can see, my hand is injured. I only hope this was an accident, and not done on purpose." He gave me a quick glance as he finished. Acting naturally, I submitted my outfit to the judges. A good design speaks for itself. Winning this competition was my chance to prove myself. In the end, my wedding gown design took home the championship. There's a ceremony and runway show coming up to showcase all 3 competition outfits with models. During the award presentation, Joshua stood up. "This isn't fair. Why give the title to a plagiarist? This isn't convincing." He challenged the legitimacy of my work. The final contest required on-the-spot design work, leaving no room for anyone to pull tricks. My designs were flawless in the eyes of the judges. They didn't care about controversies back home. Skill mattered to them. My talent was evident, and the championship was well earned. As the judges were about to take the stage, I asked for a moment. "Thanks to the judges for believing in me. Can I address his accusations?" Given the green light, I played the evidence on the big screen, showing Joshua destroying my clothes, stealing my model, and hurting himself. Watching a flustered Joshua, I approached him. "On what grounds?" "Because you're the true plagiarist. Because of all you've done." "Does my answer satisfy you, Joshua?" The audience and judges broke into discussions. Overcome with panic, Joshua tried to flee but tripped over my extended foot, face planting hard. This time, I finally got the championship I deserved. After the award ceremony, I got a call from back home. "Oliver, congratulations on winning the championship. Your desk is still here. When you return, come back to work quickly." I let out a cold laugh. "Who told you I'm coming back to work? You might want to prepare yourself for not working anymore." I hung up before they could say anything else. It's time to return and clean up the mess in the subsidiary. I went back home with my wedding dress, and the public opinion shifted. Joshua got slammed by netizens, and I received the apology I deserved. I don't know what method Joshua used, but somehow Nancy was persuaded to take the fall. Reading Joshua's post felt ironic. "Hello everyone, I'm Joshua. I'm sorry for deceiving you. A while back, I hit a design block, and Nancy, my assistant, brought me a bunch of design drafts, hoping to help. The designs sparked inspiration in me. There was no copying, just referencing the structure. It wasn't until the design competition ended that I learned the truth. I'm really sorry. Oliver, I apologize." Not long after I got off the plane, Nancy blocked my way. She grabbed my suitcase. "Oliver, you still love me, right? Why else would you design that wedding dress? I'm willing to marry you, Oliver." Just as I was about to retort, she got pushed aside by fans who had come to greet me. I quickly got surrounded and couldn't leave the airport. Luckily, the family security cleared a path for me. I made it home smoothly. I handed my award-winning wedding dress to my mom. "Son didn't lie to you. Everything's settled now." "Mom, when are you rescheduling the wedding?" She smiled brightly at the dress. "The day after tomorrow." "All right. This wedding isn't exclusive. Anyone can come in, eat, and share the joyous moment." This openness allowed Nancy to sneak in. My mom and I were welcoming guests when Nancy stormed in, teary-eyed. "Oliver, isn't this the wedding dress you made for me? Why is someone else wearing it? Or did she buy you off?" Nancy started laughing as if she'd figured something out. I used all my strength to slap Nancy. Blood trickled lightly from her mouth. "Miss, who would have thought someone impartial like you openly supports a plagiarist?" My mom showed no sympathy and had the arriving security drag Nancy to the stage. I supported my mom onto the stage. She cleared her throat and addressed the guests. "Welcome everyone to my wedding. Let me introduce my son, Oliver. He will inherit the family business." I raised my hand to greet everyone and stepped down. "Today is my parents' wedding day. I can't outshine them." Upon learning about my background, Nancy became dazed. The security astutely tossed her out the door. With my parents' wedding over, it was time to handle my matters. Upon arriving at my old company, I ran into Joshua and the design director, father and son, carrying boxes, looking utterly desolate. They glared daggers at me, and I returned a smile. In the design department, the boss rushed to greet me. "You're here. What a surprise. And my apologies for not realizing who you were. Please forgive me." He continued, "Look, I've already fired Joshua, Nancy, and the others." I looked at him, amused. "Fired and now seeking credit from me?" No, you misunderstood," he stammered. "I won't say more. Pack your things and leave. You've been here for 10 years. Let's not make it difficult." "Thank you." Finally rid of the company's bad apples, it's time to take over the family business. During my return, I uncovered Joshua's past. He not only copied my work but also other designers' projects, mercilessly suppressing them without any backing, leaving little impact in the design world. I recruited a few, assuring them they could freely design without fear of repression. Noticing my inaction, Joshua resorted to hiring online trolls to slander me, but failed miserably, with only a few clueless netizens siding with him. Armed with evidence, I reported it to the police. Joshua and Nancy were soon summoned. Joshua's plagiarism had irrefutable proof, resulting in a 5-year sentence and a hefty fine. Nancy got fined for her role in aiding him. All their efforts went down the drain. They quarreled intensely at the station, and I watched it unfold. Nancy threw herself at Joshua. "Where's the promised money, Joshua? How dare you do this to me? You were my everything." Unable to hold back, I laughed. Joshua spat back, "No one wants you. Don't think I don't know about your past relationships for money." I felt relieved I never got involved with Nancy. Nancy, pretending to be pure, never allowed me to touch her, claiming intimacy could only happen after marriage. Thankfully, my passion for design surpassed that need, so her words didn't bother me. After Joshua's incarceration, Nancy pleaded online, sharing tales about us, but with futile results. Instead of sympathy, netizens ridiculed her. "You lost a good man for a plagiarist. How foolish." Perhaps that's her type, we can't say for sure. I focused on my design career, frequently traveling with my assistant. The next Nancy update came during a chat over drinks with a childhood friend. "Oliver, your ex-girlfriend caused quite a scene. Her dad live-streamed her getting a beating. Seems like she was streaming outdoors, and her dad found her. Just started beating her without saying a word. My buddy started playing the video while explaining. In the video, Nancy's dad was yanking her hair and beating her up. He was shouting, 'You said you were going to the city to buy me a house. Where is it? All you do is complain online. Everyone back home knows about you. You've embarrassed me. Why don't you just come back and get married? I can still get 100K in dowry.' After watching the video, I chuckled and downed the last sip of my drink. My buddy looked at me smirking. "Oliver, any thoughts about having such an ex-girlfriend? Care to share?" His words took me back to the first time I met Nancy. At the freshman party, almost all the girls were dressed to the nines. Only she showed up in jeans. I had been painting outside and didn't have time to change clothes, so my roommates dragged me along. My clothes were splattered with paint. I grabbed a glass of juice just as Nancy handed me a cocktail. "Hey handsome, drink this one, it's expensive," she said and winked. Maybe I was drawn in by her simplicity back then. Realizing my buddy was waiting for a response, I looked at him speechlessly. I just dated her. It's not like I committed a felony. Can we move past this? With the company expanding, my dad decided to let me handle a big project. Son, this is a rural redevelopment project. If it's done well, could turn into a resort. Go check it out on site. Alright. Looking at the proposal with village names, one sounded familiar, but I couldn't place it. When my buddy heard I was going to check out the village, he jumped at the chance to join. Oliver, think we'll catch some geese to make that delicious dish? Iron pot goose stew? I shot him a you idiot look, shutting him up. As we approached the village, he tentatively said, Bro, this is your ex's hometown, right? I spotted Nancy in the group waiting at the village entrance. When we got out, Nancy eagerly watched me, but I ignored her. With the village leader as our guide, we toured part of the village. After the tour, I didn't rush to a decision. I wanted to stay a few days to really assess the potential. I asked the village leader to find me a guide, and Nancy quickly volunteered, stepping out from the crowd. That's when I noticed she was pregnant. Get me a guy, please, I directed the leader, then told my buddy to get the camping gear from the car. We're going to camp here. After a few days in the village, I evaluated it as a great candidate for a resort transformation. I asked the village leader to gather everyone to explain the compensation for the redevelopment. Just when I thought no one would object, Nancy's greedy dad spoke up. I don't agree. Such a big village and we only get this little money? It's not enough. Fine, I'll just check out another village. I'm not limited to this one. As I turned to leave, the village leader grabbed my arm. Please, we can negotiate. He doesn't understand these things. Don't take it to heart. After negotiating the final compensation with the villagers, I asked Secretary Lee to bring the contracts and the construction team. Once the contract was signed, construction could start immediately. On the first day of construction, we packed up the tent to leave. Nancy blocked my path. Oliver, do you still have feelings for me? Out of so many villages, why choose ours? Can you take me away, please? What Nancy didn't know was I assessed other villages before hers. Hers was indeed the best choice on paper. I'm a businessman, only talking business. Also, I'd long moved on from Nancy. Running into her was a pure coincidence. My buddy chimed in, Oh gosh, sister, you're really imagining things. Mind stepping aside? Nancy burst into tears, making my buddy awkwardly helpless. I told him to get in the car. Just as I was about to leave, Nancy's husband showed up. He dragged Nancy back by her hair, slapping her along the way. I watched blankly, still daring to bother others. The village almost lost a lot of money because of your dad. Hurry and come back with me. Quickly drove off. The resort project turned out great, recouping the villagers' compensation just in the first phase. My design went international. Son, well done this time. Seeing my parents' satisfied smiles, I was happy too. All the grievances from the past were cleared, and my career reached a new height. Everything is moving in a better direction.